Yeah, man. I talking about Bob Marley, man. You're not going to want to miss this one. Stick around, man. Okay. Enough of that. I'm back. It's been a little bit. It's been a few minutes since I've been live here, but I'm coming back. I haven't gone anywhere. I didn't disappear. I just had to take a little bit of a break. But I'm back, and today we're going to talk about this little legend of Bob Marley, the legend of Bob Marley. That's right, because, well, you may have heard this legend. If you've been in the Orthodox Church for any time, you may have heard that Bob Marley was baptized as an Orthodox Christian before he died. And so, well, we're going to get to the bottom of that here today. I want all the information here in one short, comprehensive video, so people can, if people want to search, was Bob Marley baptized Orthodox from, an Orthodox content creator, you can come to this video and it'll all be there. But a lot of people don't know about this because, people thought, well, I thought Bob Marley was a Rasta. Wasn't he a Rasta? Didn't he believe that Emperor Haile Selassie was Jesus Christ? Well, stick around, watch the video, and you're going to find out. I have to say, first of all, though, and, I have to say about Bob Marley that I am a fan. His music, I love his music. His whole career, from the beginning, you go back and listen to the stuff from like his early days, even like these poor recordings. It's just like, this gospel music almost. And I've listened to it. I had listened to it for a long time, mainly like when I was in college, my college years, when I used to partake of the herbal meditation. But I don't know if that was why I liked that music, but I still like it. And I don't know, does anybody watching, I kind of wish I could play some music, but I know that YouTube has, they have like copyright restrictions. So I don't think I can actually play any music. So, but if anybody know if that's allowed, just make a comment while we're watching here. So anyhow, let's get to it. Bob Marley, born in Jamaica in 1945, and he moved to Kingston, and as a young man he started playing music, and he was like this rude boy, right? They would go to the local spots where where performances were done, and it was a stiff competition, and they would him and his friends would try to get up on stage and get their moment to shine in the light. And he eventually signed with the Island Records, and he put out a few songs, and they were fairly successful. So he was a talented musician, all around. It seems like every song he wrote was a hit to me. He didn't write bad songs. Well, if he did, he didn't record them. So then, his career is going along, and he's writing these albums. And then we have a big event in Jamaican history where the Emperor of Ethiopia comes to visit Jamaica. And this is significant. Oh, we've got Alexander. Of course, he's here. Haile Selassie. I'm not sure what that is. So someone in the chat here is related to Haile Selassie. I have to say, if you watched the interview I did with Alexander Veda, you just write it out at the beginning of that video, which I would recommend you watch maybe after this one. I asked him, I didn't know that he was related, but I guess his grandmother was raised by Haile Selassie. I think that's what he said. And so there we have some royalty in the chat room. So there you go. That's an honor just for you people who are watching. So he's visiting here, and this we have to talk about a little bit. Oh, that's the baptismal name for Bob. Okay. We have to talk a little bit about what Rastafarianism was. So this is this kind of a socio-political religious movement that's unique kind of to the Western Hemisphere, that began in Jamaica in the 1930s, right around the time when Haile Selassie was coronated and became the Emperor of Ethiopia. And there's a guy named Marcus Garvey, right? Marcus Garvey was this guy who was he was kind of a, well, the Rastafarians sort of they see Marcus Garvey sort of as like the Prophet John of their religion, the guy who was like the forerunner, who was the preacher. And he was, apparently they say he made a prophecy about somebody who's going to come and be the king. And the Rastafarians thought who Marcus Garvey was talking about was Haile Selassie. So they were beginning to worship this person. They said he was the second coming of Jesus Christ. And not all Rastas believe this. It's not like they have like the Rastas don't have like a catechism or written down. They don't have ecumenical councils, defined dogmas and things like that. But many Rastas did believe that Haile Selassie was God. And then he comes and he pays a visit to Jamaica in 1966. And at the time, Bob Marley was not yet a Rasta, but this was a big event in Jamaica. And so he's welcomed as a king. And I'm going to play a little bit of a video here for you guys. I hope YouTube doesn't take me down for playing this video. I think it's okay. So let me get this one going here. This is the plain Lion of Judah, it says. You can't see the top.
At last, the most rousing, boisterous, tumultuous welcome ever given to any visiting or local celebrity, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia, arrived. The crowd erupted into a frenzy of rejoicing as they broke through the lines of soldiers and police and surged out onto the tarmac, eager to engulf the emperor with their affection. The ceremonial welcome that was planned had to be abandoned as the avalanche of men, women, and children swept away all semblance of order.
Okay, so there you see, that's a little bit of a historical moment, a little bit of background for you so you understand what's happening. And at the time, Bob Marley was actually in the United States working in Delaware, I guess, for an auto company or something like that, trying to make money so that he could, he needed a little bit of money so he could continue with his dream of becoming a musician. But while he was away, his wife, Rita, becomes a Rastafarian. And when he comes back, Bob is interested in this, and he too becomes a Rastafarian. And this really begins to influence his music. It really, the whole Rastafarian thing comes through in his music, and the way he writing songs changes as well, becomes more of this kind of melodic rhythmic thing where, with the drums and the boom, you probably know what I'm saying if you listen to the music that he was making at the time, or if you're familiar with his music. So he becomes a Rastafarian, and then he goes on and he becomes this big international star. But what about him, the emperor? Here he is, and he's being the emperor is there in Jamaica and people are worshiping him. But the emperor is a Christian. Emperor Haile Selassie is an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian. And I have to make the distinction that this is not, this church is actually part of the what's known as, they're defined as an Oriental Orthodox Church. They're not Eastern Orthodox. A small distinction. Their theology is a little different. They accept the first 3 ecumenical councils and not the remainder, not the 4 remaining. And technically, they're Miaphysites, I guess, Miaphysites is what they're called actually, which they believe Christ doesn't have 2 natures but 1. So, that is a little bit of a problem, but, they do have, some would say that they have apostolic succession in that church. But what does the emperor have to say, about this? So here I'll bring up another, this is what we see. Emperor Haile Selassie's denial of being the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So here's a picture of the emperor, a handsome man there. And there's a recording of it. I'm not going to play the recording. You can't really hear it too well. But at the time, so while he was visiting Jamaica, he also went around the rest of the Western Hemisphere. He was visiting other places. So here's a transcript of an interview that a CBS reporter, Bill McNeil, conducted with the emperor in Canada aboard the royal train. So he's questioned. There are millions of Christians throughout the world, Your Imperial Majesty, who regard you as the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. And he's talking about specifically the Rastas. And his answer is very clear. He does not equivocate. I have heard of that idea. I also met certain Rastafarians. I told them clearly that I am a man, that I am mortal, and that I will be replaced by the oncoming generation, and that they should never make a mistake in assuming or pretending that a human being is emanated from a deity. So that's a little bit of a problem, I think, for the Rastafarians, at the time. Rastas are generally very wonderful people, Alexander says, but the idea that him was divine is not coherent, right? Maybe it's because they're too high to really have a coherent worldview. They do, I think, smoking marijuana is part of their way of life. But so the emperor is denying. That kind of throws a chink in the thing, chink in the armor or whatever, kind of in the gears. It throws a wrench in the gears. And then, so the emperor, he receives this welcome and he goes home and he's thinking, what can I do? What can I possibly do? These people are asking me, how to worship? They want to know, they're asking me for a way to worship. That's what they're looking for. And so he's thinking, and, he's the head. He is, along with the patriarch, this is he was actually a king. He was an emperor of a country. And so he was also the head of the church. And so he decides to send a delegation to Jamaica, and he sends a priest and an archpriest, Abuna Yesehaq, who becomes an archbishop. And he sends him to Jamaica, to Kingston, and they establish the church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. And so that is in 1970, and they go there and they're evangelizing and they set up a church. In 1972, 2 years later, Rita Marley, who had who had gone before Bob into Rastafarianism, now converts with her children publicly. Rita and her children are baptized into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Kingston, Jamaica. Bob Marley's not yet. Okay, so we have this public baptism, and Bob Marley's family is Orthodox now. They're Ethiopian Orthodox. And the following year, beginning in 1973, Bob Marley is he knows this priest, this bishop, and he's having conversations with him, and he wants to be baptized also, and he makes arrangements. This actually happens 3 times in Jamaica, that Bob Marley, who by now is blown up, he's the biggest star in the world. He can go anywhere in the world. He's gone through. He set records for a number of tickets. So he filled up stadiums, like huge soccer stadiums in Europe. He went on this tour. Every country, anywhere he goes, he can fill up a stadium, like tens of thousands of people. You know, he's kind of a mesmerizing performer. And you know, not just Europe. Throughout, he goes to Asia and Africa, and eventually becomes, in the 70s, starts becoming popular in the United States. And so but he has this whole narrative surrounding him. He's this dreadlocked Rasta smoking weed, right? That's the three things that people think of when they're thinking of Bob Marley: dreadlocked Rasta who smokes weed. And that's this narrative, and it's a huge money-making deal. He's generating millions of dollars. And so he wants to go and get baptized, and he's prevented. He's prevented by the Rastas who are around him in his circle and his handlers. I don't know who his handlers, that's what I read. I'm not sure. They're not very specific who the handlers are, but he's prevented by some of the Rastas in his circle and the handlers who are kind of, you know, managing him. So he's not able to go through with his baptism that he tried 3 times to set up. Okay. Then in 1977, he is diagnosed with cancer, some sort of melanoma, I believe it is. And he's going downhill. He's not doing too well. And he tries all sorts of, he has a fighting spirit. He wants to fight it. He goes to like the Alps or something to try some juice fast, or I don't know. You know, he's doing what he can to fight it. And then in 1980, finally, he's in New York, and he's receiving treatment for his cancer. And while he's in New York, he is there. There's an Ethiopian church in New York, and the bishop, while he's there, finally Bob's away from the Rastas in Jamaica, and secretly they organize secretly to have him baptized, so that there's no way that anybody can come and prevent him there's no way that someone can prevent him to come and stop him from doing what his intention was. So he, with only his family present and this bishop. So I actually have an interview. You don't have to trust me, because I have a video here that I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to share this portion of an interview with the bishop. He says it himself, so you'll hear it from the horse's mouth. So this is Archbishop Abuna Yesehaq. Let me play a little bit of this.
And all that, and they did a lot of them.
So you tried to help them to integrate in the society?
Of course, even the biggest artists, well-known artists who died now, like, I have to encourage them to go ahead and make it. Yes, you know.
I see.
Yes,
you baptized Bob Marley.
I did baptize Bob Marley, and the presence of his wife Rita Marley and his children.
Yes.
Yes, family, only the family, because he was not so willing to have it officially. It was difficult for him, yes.
To get it, yes.
Which I don't want to describe.
Okay. Okay.
And anyway.
So there you go. It was difficult for him, and he didn't want to describe it, but he didn't want to say, because he's being nice. He's being polite. He's a holy bishop. He doesn't want to offend anybody. But what he's saying is there were people who were against this, that he skips over that part. So there you have it. That's the story of Bob Marley, who got baptized, and that was in 1980, right before his death. His death was in 1981. He was 36 years old. And I kind of, people are still mourning for his loss, because, if he was still around, this guy, this charismatic figure who made this wonderful music, it was a shame that he had to pass so soon, but I think God probably had a hand in this. And reportedly, on his deathbed, when he was dying, he was in extreme pain and agony, and he reaches out to Jesus Christ and he calls Jesus. I have this on another. Let me bring up another tab. Let me see this one. Now this is interesting actually, because this is actually an Orthodox Church's website. Let me bring it a little bigger for you guys. Bob Marley and the Orthodox Church. There's this good, nice article written here. St. Innocent Orthodox Christian Church of Eureka. And if you don't know where Eureka is, it's in Northern California in Humboldt County. And Humboldt County, well, for people who are on the West Coast, they know that they're famous for their weed. Yes, the Humboldt County High is what they call it. And so there's actually an article on an Orthodox Christian Church's website. And so there's some more information about this and here. And it's a nice, you might want to go look into this if you can. Where is it said now? Jesus take me. Here it is. So he's in excruciating pain, and he calls out on his deathbed, Jesus take me. So, he's not calling out to Haile Selassie here. He's saying, because Haile Selassie, he really, with his baptism, what he did was he renounced. When you get baptized, you have to renounce your former beliefs. You have to accept the teaching of the church. So he rejects the idea that Haile Selassie is God, which some people somehow still hold on to. And this is actually kind of a funny thing that people hold on to this, because in the year was 1975, Haile Selassie, there was a coup against him. He got thrown out. He was no longer the king, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. And then he was assassinated in the next year. I think it was in 1976, if I was right. So according to the Bible, the second coming of Jesus Christ, Jesus will reign forever when Jesus comes back. So if that was the second coming of Christ, that's not. And actually, when that happened, there was it was kind of a crisis apparently in Rastafarianism, and they tried to kind of smooth over it, or some people just convinced themselves. They said, oh, he's still alive in spirit, or his spirit is still with us, or something like that. But he's dead. He's gone. He's buried. You could go probably visit his grave somewhere. So that is the story. Now you have it there all in one place. The story of Bob Marley and his baptism into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. I wish I could play a little bit of music like as an outro here. That would be awesome. I'm surprised that I even went up to this far, because I didn't think it was going to last that long, but I thought it was going to be a shorter video, but at least I got this far. I'm sorry to my loyal viewers that I haven't been going live every 5th day. I think I got burned out. I did that for probably about 5 months, where having to come up with something and research and go live every 5th day, and that's hard to do. I guess I got burned out a little bit. So I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm adapting. I'm not going away. Although, it seems like some people, they get tired of this and they just quit doing live streaming. But I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to pray for me. I'm going to try to keep preserving my energy so I can keep doing this, and not wear myself out too much. Let's see. I have an interview actually soon. I have another interview coming up on Tuesday, so look for that. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Elijah Payne, who moved to Russia, and he actually recently he's visiting the United States. He came back to you're welcome, Alexander. Thank you for being in the chat with me. my friend Elijah, he's moved. He's with the intention of staying in Russia. He's enough through with America. He's moved there. He came back briefly to get a visa, I think, and he's staying in America for about a week. So I'm going to interview him on Tuesday about moving to Russia. What was his motivations? Why? How's he liking it? What do you need to do if you want to move there? You know, I have to admit, I've thought about doing it myself. So that's going to be my Tuesday. And if you really want some more Young Penitent, I am actually going to be on the Rogue Splice channel on Rockfin at 3 o'clock, just in about 35 minutes. I'm going to be co-hosting Rogue Splice's show today. He's going to be talking about the book Occult Feminism by Rachel Wilson. So just scoot on over there if you want to watch another live stream, if you haven't had enough, if you're not sick of me yet. And also go ahead and vote in my community tab. I put up a poll whether you guys want to see Abbot Trefon. So again, he's kindly offered to come back on the show and so I'm trying to think of a Alexander recommends moving to Georgia instead of Russia. I see those Georgian women, right? I might bring on back. So go ahead and, go ahead and scooch over to the community tab after this video is done playing. Vote in the poll whether you want to see Abbot Trefon come back on the show. I think one person voted no, and I have like 18 votes. But I think they were probably just trying to be funny or something. I don't think that anybody really has anything. Who in the world has anything to say bad about Abbot Trefon? All right, so that's my show. Again, thank you all for watching. And God save Haile Selassie. God give him a peaceful and blessed repose. More Abbot all the time. All right. Thanks for joining. See you next time.